We shall now look at exercise 3.2 question 6. If you have not read the question, please pause the video and read it now. Okay, if you have read the question, you will know that the information that's shown in the table is represented by the matrix J here. Okay, and this matrix J actually represents the number of cars sold, where the columns actually represent the type of cars and the rows represent the size of the cars. And if you notice that for all three matrices, J, F, and M are all of the same order. Okay, they all have the order, it should be 2 by 3. Okay, so all the matrices have the order 2 by 3. Now in part A, you are asked to evaluate J plus F plus M. Okay, and I'll give you a while to work it out. And you should get another 2 by 3 matrix, okay, that is shown on the screen here. Okay, now, although the question didn't ask, okay, or rather, actually in part B, they will be asking the question again. Okay, in part B, they ask you what does the sum of the elements in the second row of J plus F plus M represent. So they are looking at the second row and they are asking you, if you sum all these elements together, what do you get? Now remember, if you look back at the original table, what does the row represent? Okay, the second row represents, the number of medium cars that is sold. And now we added J plus F plus M, which means that we are looking at the total number of medium cars that are sold, and we have to be very particular when are these medium cars sold. So we want to find the total number that is sold in January, February, and March. Okay, so this is what the sum of the elements represent. Now in part C, we are then asked to evaluate M minus F. And please take a few seconds now to try this by yourself. Okay, you may pause the video now if you need to. And if you have worked out the answer, this is what you should get. Now you realize that for questions involving matrices, okay, they like to ask you questions that are like question B and question D. Again, in question D, they will ask you what does M minus F represent. Now, remember, M represents the number of each type of cars sold in March, and F represents the number of cars of each type that are sold in Feb. So if you take M minus M, you are actually finding the difference of the cars of each type sold between March and February. So you can explain F minus F as representing how many more cars of each type are sold in March as compared to, of course, F represents February, so as compared to Feb. Okay, so if you understand what the elements in each of the matrices represents, you shouldn't have any problem answering this question. And now we look at the final question, okay? That's question E. Now, question E requires you to explain why the element in the first row and the third column of each of the given matrices is 0. So in particular, they are referring to this element here. Why is there always a 0 there? Okay, to be able to know what the answer is, we will first have to figure out what does the element in this position represent. Now, element in this position, if you refer back to the original table, okay, represents, okay, the row represents that, okay, it is a small car, and the column represents that it is a wagon. So all the element 0 actually represents a small wagon. So why do you think that the element, okay, in the position for each of the matrices is 0? Okay, there are a few possible reasons. One possible reason may be that, okay, in fact, most of the time wagons are considered as big cars. So there are actually no small wagons in the motor company. Okay, and this is actually the most likely reason. Of course, any other logical reason will also apply. Okay, so question 6 would be very typical of a matrix question, whereby besides asking you to do calculation, they will actually also ask you to do some explanation.